All right, well, welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday, January 27th. Crazy January's almost over with, right? But just think a couple more weeks or less than a couple weeks now, right? Brady will have a 7th ring, so that's good news for everyone. Oh no, who knows? Who knows? All right, so before we get started, of course, Daryl put something in there that I've got to look at now. Yes. So right. So we'll actually start on that. So Daryl just put in here that LNG is going down, and we had talked about that in our mentoring. But here's the thing. So look at that nice down move with the trigger. But what I like now is we have rules, right? We'll wait for that next entry long with that seasonal, right? So that's why patience is important. And we got earnings coming up not until the end of February there. And you always have retracements. So with that, let's start also, let's talk about the stock market, and we'll bring up the, hey Kirby, we'll bring up the ES, S&P. So yesterday we hit an all-time high again, right? So I had a couple texts today just saying, hey, Dr. Key, is today the day now the market is heading to zero, right? I mean, they didn't say heading to zero, but anytime you walk in the morning and you see the futures markets heading lower, people still panic. And at some point, okay, look at this. So let me make this larger just to show you. So the week of 2/15 until March 15th, that 4-week time frame is typically bearish, okay? And it's showing up in the seasonal indicator. And last year it also was made a really nice move down with COVID as well. Okay, so we're getting there where there's a few times a year I look to short more than I go long, and we're getting there in a couple of weeks. Okay, but to go back to my original point here, right? We're in an uptrend, which is very, very strong uptrend. Every time it comes to this middle Bollinger Band, we're getting wicks, right? Even sometimes it'll even wick down to the bottom Bollinger Band, right? Which is 2 standard deviations from the mean. Okay, so do I know if this is the top and we're going to now head lower? Nobody knows. What do I think is going to happen? Well, at this point, I still think that we're going to continue to respect this and head higher. Okay, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. The other thing I am noticing today, so I want to keep an eye on, again, this is the thing, I'm just trying to keep an eye on, right? Because we know at some point the market is going to want to head lower so that we can get better entries. And when you look at sentiment in the Forex world, folks, okay, it's getting closer to 50-50, which all that means is that 50% of retailer traders are short the S&P, 50 are long. Okay, it's actually 54% are short, and so 46 are long. But what that's telling me is right now we do have some indecision with a recent high. Is it possible we're getting ready for that retracement we've talked about coming, especially with the seasonal in mid-February? So how am I going to play that? I'm still looking at seasonal longs and taking them, and I'm also looking at seasonal shorts. Okay, so I will look from a stock perspective based on my trading system. I'll look for longs and I'll look for shorts, and I'll play them both. Okay, because I do think at some point here we're getting close, and we'll see if sentiment continues to reverse, and if retailers continue to get long, then I'm really going to like the short plays. Okay, we just got to let it play out. So a nice conservative way to do that is calls and puts, okay, based on high probability trades and setups. So it doesn't really have to be that difficult from a mental standpoint, okay? Meaning, you can definitely go ahead and play some long plays with using seasonality, play some short plays, seasonality, Hakanachi, and we can go from there, okay? And that's kind of my plan. Is today the start of the big move down? You know, the bigger move down? It's not showing me that yet, right? Not showing me that yet. Do I think we'll be higher next Wednesday than than today right now? At this point, I'm uncertain, right? I said last week we would be with pretty good confidence. We hit new highs yesterday. Now we're just kind of waiting because we do have this seasonal movement to the short side coming, and they can start early, okay? We're also noticing down here, the ADX is red, okay? Just meaning that, you know, we may get some consolidation now as well, okay? Again, that's big picture stuff, okay? That's not, has not, you know, that doesn't mean you can't trade your individual stocks, right? Now, the other thing I want to address, and I know a lot of you are probably having this, all of you should be having this issue. Thinkorswim's been really goofy lately, right? We don't know why. You know, you try calling them, good luck. I've left messages, I've emailed them, I've talked to a few people that don't know. But a lot of the radar screen functionality over here has been either really, really slow, right, or non-existent. Like I loaded this up, the all optionable, an hour ago, and it's still not digesting at all, okay? It's not a programming issue. You know, any of you that have other type of indicators with watch list scans, you know, you're gonna have the same issue. And you know, the 20-day, for example, or the last few days now has not even been populating, yet the 40/60 does. So I just want you to know it's not, you know, don't go spend 20 grand on a new computer. You're frustrated with your computers. It's a Thinkorswim issue. Okay. So I thought I would point that out. Yeah, that's right, Jeff. No, I wish it was that problem, right? No, but it's yeah, Thinkorswim, you know, and I also had a client that was telling me that from a trade station perspective, they're having problems too, but theirs is more execution. You know, at least I'm not having any issues executing my trades or looking at my charts. It's just the scanning is really slow right now, okay, or the watch list. And, you know, they need to turn it around as far as I'm concerned, okay? That's right, exactly. China's controlling our internet, and specifically they're mad at me too, so. You know, I had one person say, well, it might be because, you know, everyone's so sick of being stuck at home now, everyone's starting to trade, right? And then they merged, right? So you're getting a lot of users, and who knows? I mean, part of that could be true, but we don't really know. Okay. Yeah, trade station support isn't much better. They're all working from home too. And for some reason, because they work from home, they feel like they can't meet expectations, which I don't understand that, but I haven't gone to an office in 15 years, so. All right, so saying that though, again, so big picture, folks, and let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Right, it typically falls harder when it falls, right? But what this is showing you is, again, new high yesterday. This is at this point in the day, an indecision Hakanashi, okay? Indecision Hakanashi. Hasn't even got to the middle Bollinger Band, right? So, you know, take it for what it's worth, but you're going to have down days. You're going to have 2 or 3 down days in a row. It's just until it breaks and start making lower highs, you know, I'm not that concerned with long positions, okay? Same with the Dow, okay? This has been the weakest of the 3, right? It's down below the band, trying to touch that bottom band. Indecision down here on ADX. You know, we did have a trigger short on the 22nd there with Hakanachi red. So this is just a retracement to go higher again. You know, that's the real question, right? Yeah, you probably yeah, they are working from home. The trade station, I know they are for a fact, and that's funny about the chickens. You know, we've got goats, chickens, horses, dogs. We got all kinds of stuff, and I'm still building my new office. Contractors here are pretty slow, so I'm in an office. I'm in my home though. Normally I'm outside of my home. And so you'll hear things around here as well, especially when I start opening windows. Okay. So just reading some of these comments, good comments here. Yeah, Courier, for TradeStation. So what happens with Hakanachi for TradeStation, let me address this real quick and then we'll get into more details here of trades. But we're actually working on a fix for that, because what we've realized, because TradeStation doesn't use Hakanachi, so it's synthetic, right? We had to create it. And so what's happening is when you don't touch it, meaning when you use the workspace from the beginning and you don't add it into another workspace, there's really aren't issues. But we're working on getting it fixed so that we can use it like any other indicator and add it to our other charts and so forth. Okay, so we're aware of that. We're having the same issues, and we didn't find that in the original testing just because when we were testing it, we just kept it on the workspace that when you grab it from the App Store. So that there will be a fix for that. We're figuring that out. Okay, so you should be able to open it up brand new with a brand new workspace, and it should be fine. It's when you're adding, to other workspaces and that, which again, we want to be able to do. That's when we're seeing the issues. Okay, but we are working on it regardless. Okay. And again, great feedback, because if I didn't know about it, I would know about it now. So always give me that feedback. So, okay, so dollar index, okay, remember again, now we're kind of in that seasonal long. Okay, and again, forgive me, there's a couple new things on here I'm not going to talk about yet because I'm testing things out. Okay, like the label here and this IB. Okay, so don't worry about it at this point. I'm just working on some things. But here that we had the move down, right? Seasonality said we should start heading higher. The Laguerre triggered, not a trade I take initially because of the big move down, right? I will look for a retracement back up. Okay. So at this point, the Laguerre is still heading down with a green dot and a red ADX. So I'm just not interested in going long yet on dollar index. Okay. It's just not worth there's better trades out there. Okay. All right. So same with bonds, right? I like bonds long, big picture now until April. Okay. But I didn't want to take this first trigger here. Okay, even though it's looking fine. Okay, but what I'd be looking for is come up, right? Then make that retracement. As long as that retracement is a higher low, and then I get a new trigger, then I would look to go long on bonds. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Again, you can look at like the TLT, right, for the bonds. That's what I'm looking for, and that's the patience that I'm having. I know I had a trader that said, well, I'm going long here because I'm just putting my stop at this wick. Okay, absolutely, you can do stuff like that. Okay, it's just more aggressive, All right, so the currencies lately have been consolidating here. Okay, they've just been consolidating. Let me clear that drawing set. Okay, we may be getting a trigger long, but we got a red dot, so that's kind of indecision on the euro, right? With a seasonal more to the short side. So I'm not interested in the euro, but big picture on the currencies in general, they're consolidating right now. Okay, that's all they're doing is consolidating. Apple, it's just continuing its march up, right? Like as expected. We do have earnings, right? After the market today, is it going to gap up like Amazon did, right? Or what is it going to do? Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. Facebook, again, one of the things that I've done with my seasonal indicator that I'm still testing out is if it doesn't have 10 years here, it'll just show the 5-year. Again, I don't think seasonality is extremely powerful with 5-year, but I guess it's better than nothing, right? So again, that's just what I'm experimenting with. Yeah, that's kind of what I've done. Okay, so anyway, typically Facebook drops off in February like a lot of stocks do, and then March is the ramping up. Okay, one thing, because I don't want to forget to make this point, one good strategy for those of you that have stocks that you're holding on to, okay, longer term. When we start getting that February retracement, so let's say you have Apple, you've had it for 5 years, you're obviously doing real well with it. So you just take the hits, right? When the markets do its normal, their normal declines. Well, one really good way to doing that to try to get, reduce your cost basis and make money during the time that the stock actually goes down is to buy a put, right? So, you can buy puts in February when we get triggered short. And if it goes down, you're making money, on the option side while the stock is going down to reduce that cost level on the overall stock. Okay. Or if it continues up, you get out of that put and it's a win-win anyway for you, right? So most of you probably know a basic strategy like that, but I get that question sometimes. And, especially those of you that are holding on to the actual stocks, feel free to buy some puts. Let's take a look here. What is it? What's the symbol you're talking about? Let's see here. But we'll get to that. All right, so the VIX. So the VIX is starting to rise, right? It's kind of forecasted to here. Just meaning more volatility is coming into the market, okay, which is pretty normal. Markets are actually really normal right now, folks, okay? So I did have a gentleman tell me the other day that what he's doing, which I think is logically it's a pretty good opportunity, is he keeps an eye on the VIX every day, and when he gets a trigger long, he's looking for seasonal shorts, and when he gets a trigger short, he's looking for seasonal longs. Okay, I've never tested that specific strategy with X amount of stocks to do that, but that's something that you could look at. You could look at, because typically, obviously, when volatility goes higher, stocks decline. Big picture, right? Big picture. Gold's been just consolidating like anything, right? Looking for this to head higher before it heads lower. I think we're going to get a new high, a newer high than where we're at. I think we'll retest this level before it rolls over at this point. But, again, we're getting sell triggers here. I'm not interested yet. I'm actually long on the futures of gold. And I think we're going to have a burst up before it then rolls over. From a seasonal perspective, that's typically what it does, okay? Again, Amazon, you can see a big picture. Of course, we want to buy Amazon. It's just when do you buy it? And, we had the trigger back here on the 20th as an opportunity. You do have earnings coming up on the 1st. And it's just been kind of consolidating here between these price points. Okay, these price points. It'll break out probably after earnings. Okay. Yeah, this is Thinkorswim, Mark. That's what I use. Yep. I use Thinkorswim and TradeStation. So GME, let's take a look. I looked at this earlier. Yeah. So there's a lot of people saying a lot of things about GameStop. Okay. What I told everybody was this: look, you got a combo long, it's going to go to 350. No, I wish, right? No, but you're gonna read about short squeezes, this and that. I don't know. I haven't done any research on GameStop and see what, but I mean the bottom line is things like that will happen, right? I mean stocks will do that with stocks, and I'm sure somebody in here already knows if there's some certain news on it or something. I don't get caught up on one particular stock and that, but it's just one of those situations where there's probably some news driven with that. And of course, if you took the combo long, you're happy right now, right? I would be. Oh, they're closing stores, yet the stock is at, 380, right? I know it's crazy. It's crazy. Maybe a little bit, AJ, but nobody would be disappointed. I mean, if you did an option play on GameStop, you're not disappointed right now. All right, so let me take a look at that before we move on. SOL. Yeah, so here's an example, that, let me just see something here. You've been in this nice uptrend. You're having a normal retracement on SOL, right? So what I'd be looking for is let the retracement finish, right? You're getting a trigger short. I wouldn't want to short this personally, but I would wait for a new entry long, right? So the further this comes down and then you get a trigger, whether it's the Hackenacci dot with the Laguerre, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. If you took this just to show how you manage trades with Hackenacci, right? You got in on the 14th, okay? In theory, you would still be in this trade, right? If you don't get out on yellows. So you would have took some profits. I'm not saying stay in the entire position, but in theory, you're still in this trade. So even if today, tomorrow becomes a red dot, you made all this profit, okay, all this profit. Or if it turns right back around, you're still in the trade. That's where it can really help you manage and stay in the trades instead of just saying, hey, I'm happy, I made some money, I want to get out now. That's not good enough, folks, because when you're losing money, they're not giving it back to you, right? Yeah, pool's awesome, right? That's one of my data mining ones. The only problem with pool, there's not enough volume out. Oops, let me fix that. There's not enough option volume out there, right? I mean, if there was option volume out here, man, that'd be a beautiful opportunity. I mean, from 120 to 512, it's made money 25 out of 25 years, okay? But then when you go to the option, I mean, there's enough if you want to, if you got to be careful, though. There's only like 60 contracts on some of that. Okay, I would never do it publicly. But that's the only issue with pool is the open interest in the option chain, okay? So Kirby says, can you take the yellow dot for a absolutely. So, I just have colors in there for rules and so you understand them. So as an example, okay, let's say, let me just bring up a stock like ARWR, okay? So let's say you wanted to go long on ARWR back here, okay? You got a Laguerre trigger, you got a yellow dot right before the Laguerre trigger. But you like the seasonal. If you get in on the yellow dot, right, what that's telling you is you have a green Hackenacci. It went from a red Hackenacci to a green, okay? Absolutely, you can enter there. Is it slightly more aggressive? Yes. I like to see 2 green Hackenacci candles in a row, which will then give you a green dot for me to enter most of my trades, because then it's usually a pretty good sustained opportunity, okay? There's nothing wrong with going into yellow as long as, again, in my opinion, there's a good seasonal move showing, okay? So, with ARWR from left to right, you got a pretty good seasonal opportunity there, so I could get more aggressive, like on this combo here or something, okay? But, back here, for example, it turned yellow, okay, right here. So it would have gave you a better entry, but if you waited one more dot and then the Laguerre was coming up, right, this is your entry as well, was safer, right? And then you would stay into it until you get a yellow or red dot, depending on your risk tolerance, okay? So, absolutely you can. And, I'm just showing you how I do it. And typically I will wait unless it's a really good seasonal move and everything else looks great. I mean, if you're in a really, really large uptrend, you can't wait a lot of those times, right? You get retracements, you got to take them. So I'll do it on a yellow dot, okay? Okay. So we talked about Bitcoin, and what I told you was, there wasn't, in fact, let me bring up GBTC, just so you can see the seasonal side, okay? 5 year, remember, this is only 5 years, okay? So what I mentioned was typically in January, we can have a retracement. Okay. And it's happening. It's happening. We hit a new high and, it was on the news, it's going to, billion, right? So it was very predicted move that it was going to head lower. But the real question is, if you want to buy Bitcoin, and I'm just saying this generically, right? There's a lot of different types of Bitcoin. This will give you a good entry. You're just waiting, right? You're waiting for the Laguerre to start heading up. You're waiting for a green Hackenacci dot, right? That's what we're waiting for. So, if you got in this, you did well. You may not shorted it based off of seasonality. I didn't. But then if you're looking to go long, right, you might get a really good entry coming up very, very soon, right? Very, very soon. But you have rules. You're not just picking it, right? I mean, Hackenacci is still saying, of course we're going lower, right? So why go long yet? And that's really where it can help you here. So anyway, we'll talk about Bitcoin each week now. And, I do think, again, the farther this falls, the higher it's going to go once it does a reverse. Okay, so if we can get back down to this 20 level, consolidate and give us a long play, that could be a really good opportunity. Okay. Yeah, so if you look at, there's no options, right? So if I do a public GBTC, absolutely, it's just we have to buy the outright stock. Okay, so it would be 100 shares, or whatever you wanted to do on that. And yeah, I'll start doing that more. There's also some stocks that are highly correlated with Bitcoin that I may do instead that have more options. Okay. All right, so AMD, we had earnings, okay, and a couple things on this. We love the seasonal. When this trigger happened on the 21st, I had a client ask me, what are your thoughts? He says, well, I love AMD as a longer term play, okay? But we're a couple days to earnings, which is a 50-50 play, right? So if I was going to enter, which I didn't enter here, okay, but if I was going to, I would go in a third or half of my size knowing earnings is coming up. That way, if it busts up higher on earnings, you're still going to be happy, right? You're not going to be sad that you made money, okay? But if it did what it did here today, right, when you get a new green dot, you can add into that position, okay? That way it'll reduce that cost. So that's how I would handle something like this. AMDs are very popular. Everyone likes to trade it. You're still going to get pullbacks on it, right? This is pretty powerful if it stays like that with these wicks here, though, right? That's a lot of buyers coming in, basically saying that, we like AMD. So just be careful again right before earnings, because you don't really know what's going to happen. It's more of a 50-50 trade. Okay. If you go in with a small size knowing you can add into it, then do it. I do that quite a bit. I don't do that very often publicly because of that. People will size wrong and blow out their accounts, right? But that was something I did do on Netflix. And the reason I did it was because I had basically a year-long option play. Okay, so I did a half size option play, and I'm like, okay, if it doesn't work out, right, I'm going to add in when I get my next trigger long, and it's a longer term play anyway. Okay, so again, there's just some strategies, and you have to manage, to that. Example with Tesla, right? So, look at Tesla. We got earnings coming up. This thing will probably gap one way or the other today, right? Probably one way or the other. What am I hoping? Well, I'm hoping from the standpoint, because I don't own any outright stock on Tesla right now. If it gaps down, right, I'll look for my entry long whenever that happens, right? It's going to give me a better entry at some point. Okay, but I have a plan. And that's why I hold these webinars, to show you how I do it, what my plans are. I'm not going to go in right now. I think it's super dangerous to do that right before earnings. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't take long, AJ, for Tesla to move, that's for sure. That's for sure. Okay, so let me show you a few things here, folks. So, again, if you're looking for shorts as well to diversify, right, look at the seasonal shorts. One example is MGM, right? We're basically had lower now for, the next month and a half or so. And we got, again, here's where Hakanashi can help you is now we had that green dot the red dot yesterday. So, these are some things that if you're looking to put some shorts in your portfolio with the longs, MGM's a pretty good opportunity. Not perfect on the price, right? I would like to see it more up here at this point, but I do think MGM will continue down, over the next few weeks potentially. Okay. JNPR, so Juniper again hit new highs here pretty quickly. It's gone up here, right? Now we got earnings on the 28th at the market close. Okay, I'm not looking to just short this right now, but again, you can see here, we typically are getting close to a top. So once you see that confirmation and we start heading lower, you may want to do a short play on Juniper, okay? One of my favorite long opportunities right now, from a bigger picture standpoint, is Booking Holdings, right? AKA Priceline. So again, we got a nice seasonal move coming, okay? The red dotted line, the thicker one is the 10-year. The gold thin is the 5, okay? I'm just waiting for rules for me to enter, right? Waiting for rules for me to enter. So the farther this falls for me, the better opportunity it's going to give me, right? But I don't have to think about it too much, right? I'm just waiting for the entry. That's one of the hardest things about trading is one, when do I actually get into the trade? And then two, when do I exit it, right? Sounds so easy, but it's not. So keep an eye on that one as well, folks, okay? Okay, so let's see here. Oops. So Costco, right? It's been consolidating red ADX, right? So you got the trigger, but you got the red ADX. So again, if you're looking at a longer term play on Costco, now's a pretty good opportunity. Or you may say, you know what? We got dividends, which that doesn't usually do much unless they say they're not getting, unless they say they're getting rid of dividends. But this could be a nice opportunity for you that are looking to pick up some Costco stock at this point, or do an option play towards the end of the year expiration, right? Okay. All right, what I'm going to do here, folks, I'm just making sure I have answered all the questions. And so, Mark, again, yeah, this is what you're seeing in Thinkorswim, which is toss. Okay, so feel free to, if you do have questions as well, you can always email me, support@seasonaltraderpro.com. Okay, so what I want to do now is, so my new data mining for 21 is out, and what I wanted to show, I had a great, again, you guys ask great questions, and it makes me make sure I want to cover them. So let me hide this for a second and bring this up. So I just took a clip I have 2 tabs on my data mining, and this is for bulls. So these are all long plays, okay? And I just did part of the January, and I have 2 tabs. This is less than 20 days. So those of you that are looking for shorter term option plays, okay, this is the tab you'd be looking at, for example, okay? So AON, for example, is a long from 126 to 217. Okay, in fact, let me show you. It's made money 35 out of 36 years, okay? An average of 7% profits. So 35 out of 36 years during this small window, AON's gone higher. I mean, that's incredible to have that data for one, right? Okay, but how do you play that? And this isn't probably the perfect example because the options aren't the greatest on AON. But again, I just want to show you how you can play stuff like this, okay? So remember, from 126 to 217, okay? And that doesn't mean, again, that I'm actually always entering on January 26 and exiting on 217, okay? Those of you that aren't familiar with data mining, in order to get data like this, you have to actually have dates, okay? And if you did that particular type of trade, you did okay, obviously. But I still like even higher odds. So what I do is I'll go in and I'll go in up to a week early, and for the greater than 20 days, okay, I'll go in up to 2 weeks early. But you know, again, you got the trigger right here on the Laguerre with a green dot. Okay, so you might have wanted to go in even here more aggressively on the yellow, to your point, knowing that you have this big window coming. Okay, my only hesitation, again, just showing you my tools, the ADX is red, meaning we could just consolidate, right? And it's been red since Christmas. And what's it been doing? It's been consolidating, right? So I wouldn't take this, even though it's worked almost every year forever, because there's better ones, okay? But more than likely, AON is going to head higher very, very soon, okay? Make sense? So let's look at another one. Well, we all know about Netflix, but from a short-term trading perspective, folks, 120 to 128, okay? 120 to 128 has gone up 17 out of 18 years higher, okay? So again, bring up Netflix. We know it gapped up, but again, just trying to show you the system, right? From 120, right? So you can go in a week early. It's going to end up making its target again during that time frame, okay? So all I'm trying to show you is everything I'm showing you, the way I trade is high probability. They don't all work out, okay? Pool is one we talked about. Again, the only issue again with pool is that it doesn't have enough volume for options, okay? But if you got in it on 120 and just exited on 216, okay, it's gone higher 23 out of 25 years. Okay, that's data mining, folks. A lot of you that's new to you. And I always go back to, if a broker called you up and said, hey, Dr. K, I got a tip for you, right? This stock called Pool, P-O-O-L, has gone up 92% of the time, an average of 7% between 120 and 216. Do you want to buy some? Right, in the old days, we'd be all into it, right? We'd be all into it, okay? So we have all that data available to us now, okay? So let me grab one that's already happened. Let's take a look at, what is it? ILMN, okay? So 17 to 125, 17 out of 20 years has gone higher, okay? About 11%. So let's take a look at the chart. If I can type it right, that's the hardest thing for me for trading. So I like that it was in an uptrend, okay? So we're in this window here, okay? This is actually a really good example. So right here is 1.7, okay? So we're waiting for an entry. We finally get the red dot, right? So now we're just looking for the yellow or the green as our entry with the Laguerre heading higher, right? There was no reason to go in back here, okay? There's just no reason. Now, if you took the curve with the green dot, let's say that's what you did as a little bit more aggressive, okay? You would have got in right here, okay? And obviously it still worked out very nicely for you. You took a tiny bit of heat. But here's the better entry, because you finally got a reversal, then back to green within that window, okay? And then there you go. Either way, it would have worked out for you. But again, this isn't rocket science, folks. For whatever reason, 85% of the time over the last 20 years, it's done that for us, okay? Let me grab another one that's already happened, or is happening anyway. Let's look at ZBH. So from the beginning of the year to till right now, it's gone higher 17 out of 19 years. Okay, so let me go and bring up ZBH. See, this is what I do. This is fun to me. Okay. All right. So here's a great example where the Laguerre won't get you in unless you go to a smaller time frame, right? So what do you need to do? You either went in early on the 15th, okay? Or what you do is during that window, you go in, right? So we have the change in direction, and then on the 29th, there's your entry, okay? The green dot, okay? Was there risk, in my opinion? Yeah, you got the ADX, but then it ended up going yellow and green, okay? But again, think about it, okay? Think about it. 17 out of 19 years, folks, okay? So again, there's two tabs on that. A lot of people look at the greater than 20, but the less than 20 can give you some really nice opportunities as well, folks, okay? Yeah, if you're looking at it, there's a special on the data mining. It's all done now in the 2021. There it is, okay, of course. All right, so let's bring up the charts again. Okay, I wanted to leave some time for some Q&A. That's my email. Yep. Absolutely, Kirby. Absolutely. You can email me. Okay. Any questions on anything? I know there are some that you want me to look at. Can you retype them so I don't have to go find them? TSM. Okay. Let's take a look at TSM. And the hardest part for me is typing. Okay. So we had divergence here. It's come down to the middle band. So yeah, so again, here's a great example though. On the 10-year, it's trending up. So all I'm waiting for is that green dot with the Laguerre curving up. Simple rules, right? All right, lean hogs. So again, we're only looking for long plays on lean hogs, right? So our new entry was on the 21st there. Okay, again, the only caution, we're close to trending, not quite, but it is at 14. But you know, that type of move, again, here's a great situation though, right? Where in an uptrend you have that retracement, and a lot of times people don't know when to get back in, right? And again, when do I get back in? I wouldn't have got in at the yellow dot here because at the time the Laguerre was at the bottom still. But then once the Laguerre starts heading up and you get that green dot, okay, that can be your entry. Okay, that's how I do that. That's exactly how I do that. Sure, ROIT. We can take a look at ROIT. I don't see that one. Let's see, what's TSM? What am I? Oh, we looked at that. I'm sorry. Oh, some Bitcoin stocks? Sure. Let me see if I can find them. I got to remember what I called them. I think I called them crypto. So these are some that are kind of correlated. So Riot is a good one. Okay. See how it looks like Bitcoin almost? The difference with Riot, folks, is this. There's good options. Okay. There's good options in it. So again, what am I waiting for? We all know now, right? We're waiting for that move to give us that trigger. Okay. Somebody wanted me to explain the seasonal a little bit. So yeah, and this may look a little bit different to some of you because I'm updating some things. Okay. Let me look at something else and we'll talk about these. So, you know, amazingly enough, Pan American silver typically is like Bitcoin. Okay. A little bit weaker. But let's say, you know, you look at the season. Let me break this bigger. Okay. So this red line is the 10-year projected movement. Okay. Off the weekly chart. This is a weekly chart. This is a daily chart. Okay. So here is current price right here. So the white line is what should have happened. Okay. And then this is the actual price. So actual price has gone sideways to down where the seasonal on PASS was to the upside. So that'd be my first flag that, hey, this stock isn't acting normal. I don't think I want to take it to the long side right this second. Okay. But then this is the projected weekly movement. Okay. Based off of the last 10 years of seasonal movement. And this is the 5-year. Okay. I usually use the 10-year. Okay. So that way, I'm only taking Laguerre triggers with Hackenacci in the direction of the seasonal movement. You know, that's how you can increase your probabilities. Okay. You know, so once we get into March 15th, okay, there's a higher likelihood PAS will go higher. Let's look at block. Okay. See, it doesn't have the 10 years or the 5 years yet. Let's look at OR. Okay, same thing. So it only shows stocks. A lot of the Bitcoin stuff is relatively new. Okay, ON, you know, is another one that is a good trading instrument, good option play, if I recall. And you know, so again, you can see we typically head lower, right? And we started head lower, okay, with earnings coming up on ON. So I just use that. You know, seasonality is how I trade. So those of you that are new to this, everything's first got to match the seasonal movement off the weekly, and then once it meets that criteria, then I go in the direction based off what I've showed you there. Okay. And I've done a couple webinars on YouTube as well. You can always look at and just email me and I can send them to you. You don't have to go look for them. Okay. So, you know, you can take a screenshot. These are some of the Bitcoin that are usually pretty highly correlated with Bitcoin. Okay. Some aren't quite as correlated as others. Let me just see if I can find another good one. You know, this has been stronger than the Bitcoin. So what could be useful is when Bitcoin turns around, these may turn around faster. Okay, but these are kind of the ones I've been looking at so far as I'm looking at my list. Okay. Yeah, James. So yeah, so you know, let me bring that up just as an example. Again, that's where there's no perfect formula. Okay. But yeah, so you like the seasonal long, okay? I don't know when you got in. I mean, to me, the only two triggers were on the 25th, which you should have, at that point, you would have protected yourself probably, okay? Or right now on the 19th. But regardless, if you were in this trade, you like the seasonal, typically what I do is when I get into a trade, but I go off of my triggers, okay? I don't just get in. If I'm not sure of the trade or if there's something going on, I'll go in half size and then I'll add in that position with a seasonal like this. Okay, that way, when you get that new trigger, so when the Laguerre starts continuing heading up and you get that green dot, okay, then you can add into your position, not your full position because you never had a full position, okay, you did maybe a third or a half of it, add in the normal other half of what you would have done, okay, and now you just reduce your cost basis with that seasonal move. Or if you did a third of your position and then it worked out, again, you wouldn't have made as much, but you'll be fine, right? You're not going to go home to your husband or wife, whoever's trading, and saying, hey, I only made a third of what I could have, okay? Because you're being safe on that. So, you know, this is a great seasonal move, and you know, we're just at this point to re-enter. You know, you're waiting for that movement. If you're in the trade, then you have to make the decision. You know, am I staying in, or am I going to exit at a certain percentage loss? Okay. Well, all right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed today. You know, again, I try to mix it up a little bit. I figured I'd show a little bit of the data mining and so forth. And, you know, it's really about just spending the time doing your research and looking for some of these high probabilities. You know, right now I'm looking for long and shorts. You know, we'll see over the next week, you know, what the retailers end up doing. That'll help us with some of this direction. If you have any questions, again, email me. If not, you know, have a great week. And if not, you know, see you in next Wednesday. And I wish you all the best weekend. Okay. All right, everybody. Take care now.